We are quickly approaching the new year, and this coming January looks to be bringing with it a lot of exciting PlayStation 4 game releases. And that's what we're going to be going over in today's video, specifically 13 new PlayStation 4 games coming in January 2019. A lot of variety with these game releases, from big budget titles to some smaller indie titles to some exciting PlayStation VR games. We'll be going through it all, and I'll start off with the base PlayStation 4 games, and then we will also mention some PSVR releases at the end of this video. So without further ado, let's get right into it with Resident Evil 2 Remake. This might be the biggest game coming in January 2019, although there is one other major release that I think will put this game in contention for that title. Nonetheless, the Resident Evil 2 Remake is something that a lot of gamers are excited for. This was something Capcom announced a while back, and then for a while we hadn't heard anything about it, but we finally started to see more of the Resident Evil 2 Remake, and man, does it look impressive. This is a full-on remake of Resident Evil 2 as well, which is considered by many to be the best game in the franchise, and expect this to be a game that really gets that element of horror right, much like Resident Evil 7, but definitely for fans of survival horror games, this is one to absolutely check out. And while being a remake of a classic title, one of the main points that Capcom has been driving home is that there will be a modern feel to Resident Evil 2 Remake, so for newcomers to Resident Evil or for newcomers to RE2, don't be worried about that on that end, and the Resident Evil 2 Remake will be hitting the PlayStation 4 on January 25th. Also coming in January, finally, it's Kingdom Hearts 3. It's really up for debate on which game is the biggest title of January, whether it be the Resident Evil 2 Remake or Kingdom Hearts 3. Definitely both titles cater towards a different demographic and different audience, but nonetheless, both are games we're very much looking forward to. And Kingdom Hearts 3 is a title that we've been wanting for so long, going back to 2005 after the release of Kingdom Hearts 2, and I know since then we've gotten a bunch of games that have expanded the story. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, the 2.8 collection, brought Dream Drop Distance, as well as a smaller experience that added to the Kingdom Hearts story, but now we've got that definitive third game with Kingdom Hearts 3. The gameplay we've seen thus far has looked great, and it'll just be nice to get a big budget Kingdom Hearts game once again for the first time on the PlayStation 4. I know we got a couple of collections on the PlayStation 4, but this is a legitimate new game, and Kingdom Hearts 3 will finally be dropping on January 29th. Next up, we also have Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown. Ace Combat 7 is a game that's been in development for quite a while, and another game we've known about for a while, but it'll finally be dropping in January. Ace Combat is, of course, a long-storied franchise, and it has you become an ace pilot and soar through photorealistic skies with full 360-degree movement. You're gonna down enemy aircrafts and experience the thrill of engaging in realistic flights. The game touts that aerial combat has never looked or felt better, and also with Ace Combat 7 on the PlayStation 4, there will be VR-specific missions, so if you want to take part in that and you have PlayStation VR, that is an additional element of the game exclusive to the PS4, but of course, if you want to play with traditional controls, the majority of the game will be played that way. Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown drops on the PlayStation 4 on January 18th. Next up, we have a JRPG that I'm very excited for, Tales of Vesperia, the Definitive Edition. Tales of Vesperia is a game for a long time I wanted to see come over to a PlayStation platform. It was actually originally released on the Xbox 360 back in 2008, and you don't often see JRPGs that are exclusive to Xbox. However, this is one case where it was. However, the PlayStation 3 did see a Japanese-only release of Tales of Vesperia, and that was really the definitive version of the game, having additional content, additional characters, more voice acting. Unfortunately, we never got that version of the game stateside until now. We're finally going to be getting it with Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition. On top of all that additional content, you also do have better performance. Now, I will say that $49.99 price point may be a little bit too high given the fact that this game is over a decade old, but still, it's a pretty expansive JRPG, and I'm sure that there will be a lot of JRPG fans excited for this one as Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition hits the PlayStation 4 on January 11th. Next up, we also have Onimusha Warlords. Yes, Onimusha is finally back, and while not a brand new game with Onimusha Warlords, Capcom is finally bringing the series back with a remaster of the very first title. Onimusha was a very well-received action game that was released back on the PlayStation 2, a franchise that so many gamers have wanted to see revived, and if you have any desire for a future Onimusha title, picking up Onimusha Warlords would probably help, because this is going to be a strong indicator for Capcom on whether or not an appetite is there for a new Onimusha experience. Warlords is going to be a remaster of the very first game, so if you're a newcomer to Onimusha, this is also a great pickup. And unlike Tales of Vesperia, where I think it's priced a little bit highly, with Onimusha Warlords, Capcom absolutely nailed the pricing. Considering it is a PlayStation 2 game, you can charge a full price. You can't even really charge $39.99 for the game, but it'll be released at a budget price point of $19.99. That is great, and Onimusha Warlords will be hitting the PS4 on January 15th. Next up, we have Vayne. Vane is another game that I've been aware of for quite a while, and it's an atmospheric adventure about unraveling the secrets of an unknown land, finding your place in it, and pulling at the threads of the world to make a change. The shifting sands glimmer with meaning, ancient ruins resonate with power, but a threat billows and looms in the distance. Find your way. Vane looks to be a very artistic game, and it'll just be exciting to finally get our hands on it. It hits the PS4 on January 15th. Next up, we also have Hell Warders. This is a game that I've been talking about recently, and Hell Warders is a combination of an action RPG that meets tower defense. You control powerful heroes, unleashing devastating abilities, and deploy strategic defensive units in a brand new subgenre title. It also features 4-player co-op where you can combine forces with up to 4 players and battle the legions of evil. And it has a variety of different class-based heroes, each with their own unique weapons, skills, and abilities. Hell Warders hits the PlayStation 4 on January 17th. Next up, January will also bring with it the second episode of Life is Strange 2. Life is Strange 2 has already kicked off, and I can't sell you on this game too much without giving you spoilers, but if you enjoyed Life is Strange 1, Life is Strange 2 also features a lot of mature thematics, and I think that's what really resonated with people when it came to Life is Strange 1. If that was an element of the game you liked with the first game, that it was a little bit risk-taking, I think Life is Strange 2 will be right up your alley as well then. Life is Strange 2 Episode 2 hits sometime in January 2019. We don't have an official release date, but once we get word on the official release date, we'll let you guys know, but do expect it sometime in January. Next up, now this isn't a full-on new game, however, the Anthem demo, if you pre-order the game, will also be dropping in January, and with this demo of Anthem, this is going to give you a sizable portion of the game, and it'll let you experience a lot that Anthem has to offer. Specifically, BioWare did say that they want this demo to be a way for you to really engage in the Anthem experience ahead of its release, and BioWare obviously has a lot of hope with Anthem. While it's a bit different than what they're known for, while not being a single-player oriented, super story-driven experience, Anthem does have a multiplayer layer to it, and the story is a big focus, and you can play through the game solo. However, the game was designed with multiplayer in mind and playing cooperatively, so playing with a group of friends is probably the best way to experience the game if you just want a taste of what Anthem has to offer. The demo that comes along with the pre-order will be dropping on January 25th. Also, it looks like Genesis Alpha 1 will finally be released in January 2019. This is a game we've been waiting on for quite a while. The release date has shifted quite a bit, but it looks like Genesis Alpha 1 will finally be hitting the PS4 next month. So what is this game if you're unaware? Well, it's set in a near future ravaged by wars, corrupt regimes, and devastating pollution. Influential corporations have created the Genesis program in a last-ditch attempt to save humanity. As the captain of a Genesis starship, you journey into uncharted space on the ultimate mission. Build and manage a space vessel, farm resources, deal with terrifying alien infestations, clone creatures, and explore a vast, randomly generated universe. Again, Genesis Alpha 1 is a game I've been following for quite a while. I think there's a lot of potential here. We'll find out as the game is scheduled to be released sometime in January 2019. Alright, so that wraps up all of the regular PlayStation 4 titles. However, I do want to go through some PlayStation VR titles. First, we have Smash Hit Plunder, which will have you step into the shoes of a prodigal mage, and using the power of PSVR, you'll tear your way through a vast castle in search of gold, treasure, and a hidden family fortune. You play as a young mage recently returned from magic school, and you unleash your newfound powers on the former family home as you seek to oust a sneaky spiritual creditor who has cheated your family of their wealth. Looks like a pretty interesting title. Smash Hit Plunder will be hitting PSVR exclusively on January 15th. Next up, we also have a game that might be one of the surprise hits on VR, and that is A Fisherman's Tale. A Fisherman's Tale has you bend and twist reality. It's a mind-bending VR puzzle adventure game in which being turned upside down and inside out is not merely a play on words. You play as Bob, a tiny fisherman puppet, and you live alone in your tiny cabin, oblivious to the world outside. When your radio broadcasts a storm alert, you have to get to the top of the lighthouse and turn on the light. But as you try to leave your cabin with the help of some uncanny sidekicks, you realize what's waiting outside is not at all what you expected. A Fisherman's Tale is coming to PlayStation VR sometime in January. And finally, we have Megalith. In Megalith, you choose from one of 5 starting titans and work in teams of 2 to take on other titans in a battle for control of mankind. As is always the case, each Titan has its own unique powers and abilities derived from their origins. These abilities can be used alone, but become even more effective when coordinated with an ally. Definitely a teamwork-oriented game, and each team must protect their side while attempting to lead their minions into enemy territory and breach their defenses. Titans will need to destroy enemy walls and towers in order to make their bases vulnerable to attack. Powerful siege minions also can be summoned to aid in the path to victory. Obviously, you know the style of game this is going for, but with that VR element added into it, Megalith could turn out to be a pretty interesting game. It hits PlayStation VR on January 8th. So that wraps up 13 new PlayStation 4 games coming in January 2019. Obviously not as busy of a month as say November or October, where we just had so many game releases, but comparatively speaking to some of the past Januaries, there is a lot of depth to the game releases in January, with games like Kingdom Hearts 3, Resident Evil 2 Remake. I'm excited to see Tales of Vesperia and Onimusha come to the PlayStation 4. Vane looks like a very interesting title, and how could I forget about Ace Combat 7? To see Ace Combat finally come to current gen, that is gonna be awesome, and a couple of interesting PlayStation VR games as well. Definitely let us know what games you're planning on picking up in January, and sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.